Now, this clip has been going around all week. Let's see if we believe it. I don't think it's AI, but pay attention to the expressions of everybody, the whole family. Real or cap, what did they see?
What is the most dangerous information that you know?
Oh boy. They're going to hoax an alien threat, and it's all a lie. So we are actually in the last year at the point where they've started on that plan. We have got to intercept this plan and stop it. Or if you think 9/11 and the Iraq War was a clusterfuck, this is going to be that 1,000 times worse. That there's a group of people who control this issue that are trying to provoke an interplanetary incident. So the next war, World War III, will be interplanetary. It's a serious group of nut jobs, and they have to be put on a leash and stood down fast and quickly. This group started releasing stuff to the CNN and Washington Post and New York Times. Every bit of information they're putting out has the spin, it's a threat to the national security, our sovereignty has been invaded. It's the kind of brainwashing that's already started to try to convince the public there is an alien.
There has been an extreme negative connotation when it comes to these aliens, extraterrestrials, and disclosure. But global mafia, what's the deal? What we on? Welcome back to your home for non-mainstream news, the latest theories, and the hidden knowledge they don't want you to access. One person will never know everything, but as a collective, we're gonna figure it all out. Always remember, this is entertainment purposes only. Do your own research. I advise you to, and come to a conclusion on your own.
If you and I were starting to go do talks and we start talking about Jesus and aliens in the same talk, we're going to go from here to here real fast.
You know, tying this back to Bob Lazar, there's also a Jesus connection there.
It's crazy. Exactly.
Which is wild.
Yeah.
Blue documents, he read that Jesus was some type of hybrid.
And there was a vial in there this thick on religion. The way it was written, because he remembered how Bob said that it was written. It says, the Christian God as you know him doesn't exist. The police officer was there telling me that I had to go meet with a woman because there's a little girl there that's her daughter that is not from here. She gets in the car and she says to me, I was taken up in a ship one time and they introduced me to a little girl. She said, tonight at 11:11, a craft will fly over this house. It appeared out of nowhere and flew right over the house. I had tears in my eyes and just looks at me super calm and says, I am likely to be the reincarnation of the daughter of Mary Magdalene and Jesus.
Reincarnation of Marilyn Magdalene and Jesus Christ's daughter, she said. Let me know how y'all feel about reincarnation. We're going to skip that part, but there are a lot of cases that are almost undeniable. I still don't know what I think about it. What are we talking about, Mafia? Spam it up.
Anything out of a drive-through ever again. Look here, kids. FDA approved, lab-grown, genetically modified meats. It's coming. Finite for this fat bald dude. If it's got a drive-through anymore, I'm done. You want to know why? Bang. Tyson Foods. Tyson Foods is the chicken purveyor for every fast food restaurant in the nation. If it has a drive-through attached, guess what? They get their chicken from Tyson through Cisco Food Service. Let's just put this out here. They have put in millions, billions of dollars in 3 different labs to grow lab-grown chicken, genetically altered and modified chicken. Finite. It's a wrap. Anybody that's been buying food for as long as I have not had anything out of a drive-thru in years, and I'm going to tell you, don't buy anything out of a drive-thru. And hell, don't even trust anything from Kroger.
So I'm glad he mentioned the grocery stores at the end, because all of the consumption is coming from the same factories. Tricky out here. Me, I'm a vegetarian, but I still have to be mindful as well. No longer the excuse can be made that it's cheap, because it's not cheap. It's actually more expensive than probably cooking a meal for 3. I run a household, I know.
History has changed over the past few years, and it's far worse than people imagine. Nobody can ignore what's happening in the music industry anymore. The satanic references are no longer hidden. They're everywhere, and they're spreading right in front of our eyes. Look at album covers like this one. It belongs to the most streamed Afrobeat artist in the world. He released an album featuring a burning house and an upside-down cross. For a genre that's supposed to represent sunshine and positivity, it's more than disturbing. And during his concert in London, many people said they felt unwell. He entered on a black horse, wearing a red mask, and started saying things nobody could understand, as if he were reciting something secret. And it's not an isolated case. Playboi Carti put an upside-down cross on one of his album covers. He performs concerts where he lets out terrifying screams, surrounded by flames and wearing outfits heavily associated with the devil. The most disturbing example is Doja Cat, who completely changed her artistic direction with posts that send chills down your spine. Even The Weeknd, the most streamed artist of our generation, has faced these accusations. The rumors exploded after the name Satan appeared on a giant screen during one of his concerts. That day, the evidence couldn't have been any more obvious, and the most open about it is Lil Nas X. For one of his music videos, he released the Satan shoes with exactly 666 pairs. He even put a pentagram on them, an upside-down cross, and even worse, some pairs contained a real drop of human blood inside each sole. What's truly concerning is that they sold out in less than a minute. The question isn't whether all of this exists. That's something people have to acknowledge. The real question is why it has become the new normal.
Well, it shouldn't be that crazy. To worship the physical would be to worship the ruler of this plane, this realm, this earth, which is, in the Bible, it says Satan, Lucifer. So it's not that off-brand that they do try to bring power and hold him all high and mighty. But the physical is not the only thing that exists. And to sell your soul just for that, I don't know, because we're trying to detach from the physical over here. How y'all feel about it?
I want to keep helping the flock camera companies by continuing to give our facial recognition and geolocation data to them, right? So the best way to keep giving them their data is to first cover your license plates with an infrared blocking film or spray. You can do the same to your windshield and driver and passenger side windows. And then cover your license plates in what is called an adversarial AI sticker or decal. The adversarial AI stickers and decals have nearly invisible dots and patterns that definitely help the flock camera see your license plate more clearly. And the best part about all of this is it's nearly invisible to the naked human eye, so you are not impeding law enforcement if you get pulled over. Now, for some reason, these spray stickers and decals can be illegal in some states like Florida, which I don't know why they would be illegal if we're helping out the flock camera companies and police scanners. So just make sure you read your local state laws before applying any of these things. So let's all continue to be super helpful to the flock camera companies and do this to our license plates, windshields, passenger and driver side windows.
What do you think happens in 2045? Complete chaos. I think you will experience something akin to the Bronze Age collapse, which is a total systems collapse. And it'll be brought on by environmental catastrophe. So there's something called the geomagnetic excursion event, which is like the North and South Pole start to move away from the present locations, which then weakens the Earth's magnetic field, which then makes the Earth much more susceptible to solar flares, which are basically EMP shockwaves, which would destroy the digital economy, right? But the entire world is basically digitized. So imagine a solar flare in the middle of New York City. Well, no one would have access to the internet, telecommunications, the car won't work, the power plants will give out. If it's winter, you will literally freeze to death. Sanitation breaks down. There's no more clean water. It'll be complete chaos. And it will only take one of these events to destroy a lot of the world, because we're so congregated inside cities. Okay, so I think there's a real possibility in the next 20 years, there will be a major environmental catastrophe. And it's possible it's a perfect storm of catastrophes, meaning pestilence, famine, drought, earthquakes, just a perfect storm. And in which case you will have a shattering of the world. So the nation state then gives way to the city state. And these city-states have to fight amongst each other for precious resources, especially water. And so it's not a very pleasant future for humanity. But this is something that I don't think people are really prepared for. Yes, I understand there will be a multipolar world, and that is in the midterm. But in the long term, we have to worry about the very survival of humanity itself.
Large Hadron Collider, or CERN, is not what you were told that it was. It's something completely different entirely. In the early 2000s, the magnetic field of the Earth began to weaken dramatically. In an attempt to synthetically mimic the magnetic field of the Earth, CERN built the Large Hadron Collider. It's not a collider at all. It is a machine designed to stabilize the magnetic field of the Earth. You've all been lied to. You've been lied to for over 50 years. Aliens are real. This technology came directly from aliens. This technology was given to us to try to save us from going through another Lachant excursion event. The Lachant excursion happened 46,000 years ago, and it lasted for 200 years.
He just made some bold claims now, didn't he? This is why we say entertainment purposes only. Do your own research. What do we feel about that? Do we agree, disagree, or are we in the middle? He covered a whole bunch of bases, so start anywhere.
Of destruction, an omen, which is a form of carnage, and this is all cultivated by the processional circle. The same ionospheric frequency modification that you've seen in the atmosphere in Venezuela days before the earthquake is the same frequency modulation that you've seen in the atmosphere in New York City. Now, when you go to New York City and you go to this place called the Cathedral of St. John Divine, which is also known as the Portal of Peace, it demonstrates a lot of ontological artifacts that shows you the apocalypse that's going to be taking place in New York City. It shows you the Brooklyn Bridge broke in half. It shows you the destruction of the Twin Towers right before it happens, because the great majority of these carvings was created from 1988 to 1997. In 1997, the same year when they finished building the Cathedral of St. John Divine, is also the same year when the movie Escape from New York came out. And mind you, the main character in the movie, his name was Snake Plissken, because Snake is the personification of Kundalini activation that harmonizes with the 4 basic elements by way of the dodecahedron, which is why they show you the 5 pillars of destruction at the Cathedral of St. John Divine. So with all that shit being said, based on my logical assertions, this is basically translating to a warning. Because you just had a couple at the Empire State Building propagating peace. And anytime that the system talks about peace, chaos is going to ensue. And mind you, at the 250th anniversary, you had the Brooklyn Bridge caught on fire. And you also got to take into account that the New York Knicks won the championships. So they need a sacrifice. There has to be an energy exchange for them winning the championship. And that's going to be judgment that's going to be placed on New York City, which is modern day Babylon.
Last time we came, the water was about right there. That was a little over 2 weeks ago.
The water used to be at that little white line right there. The water used to be that high.
About the Colorado water crisis, enough on the news. I mean, look at this. That's how low it is.
This is the Frio River. It is now dry.
I came to the river and there's absolutely no water.
I have not seen the river dry up since I was probably a teenager. This is what's left of the Rio Grande.
What year is this car?
Just wanted to say the president declared a food emergency because we cannot get fertilizer because of the war. And he said we're in a state of emergency. And I just want to point out that I have been telling everybody for 7 years to prepare.
I was 50 and it's never been in my house.
Now, it looks like we're having extreme elements on every side of this realm, but remember, we in it together. Know that if you rise in the morning, you got somebody fighting in the battle with you, the global mafia right next to you. One person will never know everything, but as a collective, we're going to figure it all out. Let's keep getting this hidden knowledge. Let's have a conversation about it in the comments. And what direction are we headed in? It seems like the wool can no longer be pulled over our heads, and I'm pretty happy about it. But remember, the majority still gets their news from CNN and the masses. Send everybody this way to the global mafia. In the collective, we're going to get this knowledge and dissect it together. Hit that sub button. Made it this far, type in "can't be stopped," as we can't be stopped from getting the knowledge. Drop it. And you know I'm dropping one of these at least every day, 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.